Here's my topics. The death penalty, what I prefer to as lethal lottery, is most likely human race oldest form of punishment have existed way before the recording of time itself. It is a brutal, harsh form of punishment that is based on a vengeance concept. Since the reinstatement of death penalty in 1976, more than 150 men and women have been released from death row nationally. Some are minutes away from execution. Good morning. My name is Raymond Lester, and for the next few minutes, I will talk to you about banning the use of the death penalty. We're going to cover several different topics, and though there are many different reasons you can abolish the death penalty, we're going to talk about the death penalty being an expression of absolute power of the state. Is the death penalty actually a crime deterrent? Do race plays a major role in determining who lives and who dies? In different research studies they have did on the death penalty, and can life without parole be a sensible alternative to the death penalty? And then we will finish off with the conclusion. First thing we'll talk about is the death penalty is the expression of the state. The United States, along with Iraq, Iran, North Korea, and China, are one of the major advocates for the capital punishment. Walpen wrote in his article, "Why is Texas number one?" What's crazy, the reason he wrote "Why Texas number one," since 1976, Texas have executed more personnel than any other state in the United States. In 1998 alone, Texas executed 167 people in that 1 year alone. In 2011, a study found in California that we have spent more money, or better yet, spent over $4 billion on capital punishment since the reinstatement of the death penalty in 1976. That kind of why I explain why California be having some budget issues, because we're wasting money on the death penalty. And we have found out when you conducting a trial for the death penalty, it is 20 times more expensive than a trial seeking sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole. Is the death penalty actually a crime deterrent? Mulcahy and Giddings in 2003 did a research estimate each person executed reduced homicide rate by 5 victims. I don't know how they know that or how many people they plan on killing, but that's the estimation they came. But one thing we did find about the study is inconsistency. The state without the death penalty has a much lower murder rate. The South by itself, which accounts for 80% of the U.S. execution, has the highest regional murder rate. So is it really a crime deterrent or just the individual? Do race play a major role in the death penalty? Race play a major role when it's the victim, and also if it's the race of the defendant, that's when it plays a major factor. In 1990, a report from the General Accounting Office concluded that 82% of the race of the victim being charged with capital murder or receiving a death penalty are those who are murdered by whites or Caucasians, or who are likely to be sentenced to death than those who are murdered by blacks or African American. Which one did you prefer? That kind of explains why some people are nervous when they get stopped by cops, because they feel a lot of times they feel they're not getting the benefit of the doubt. Talk about a couple of research we talked about. In 2012, Zaboro actually did a research in Stanford. So what it is, they took some students, they imitated and basically replicated the prison situation if they was on the death penalty. What they found out when they were doing that experiment, they had to stop it so early because psychologically, the student was so affected that it was so affected by the situation that they could not even continue to even get the investigation, like actually do it really work. So in other words, they were putting people on death row, or acting like they was on death row, being locked up for 23 hours a day, eating, ain't leaving their cell, and realized they was getting psychologically messed up. So that's why they had to stop it. Volume and Lemire conducted a study in 2004 stating that majority of the deaths in Texas, that majority of people actually support the deaths, the execution in Texas. But also we did find out that some of the residents, what they found out is they don't really think the death penalty is actually an actual form of effective punishment. The Justice Institution in 2000 research stated in 1980, the prison population in the United States have grown at a rate that there's really no historical pattern that can be found as history. So in other words, there's no pattern say because the death penalty, like I said, is a lethal lottery. It ain't like if you committed one, Marshall, in 1980, and you committed one in 1990, but like in the military we have an order of merit, like you would go first. Nah, it just depends. We got over 20-some thousand people on death row, and they only execute about 100 a year. And I guarantee that he gonna go first. It's like a lottery. Let's talk about, there's other ways we can do this. Let's talk about life without parole may be a sensible alternative to the death penalty. Many families who have lost loved ones to murder feel that the death penalty, well, it don't heal it. Right? I mean, I'm just saying, I just lost my dad. I know sometimes, every time people say I feel out of condolence with it actually reopened the wound. It's like sending the whole situation over and over again. But it don't really heal. Nobody get healed from it. You can't bring them back. Every state that retained the death penalty, the jury had an option of what? Life without parole or the death penalty. We found out that it is cheaper for a taxpayer to keep somebody in prison with life without parole, with that help offenders keeping them off the streets for good, than it is if you sentence somebody to death. Currently, there's 3,000 people in California who have received alternative sentences. This solution right here, life without parole. According to the California Governor's Office, only 7 sentences to life without parole have been released because why they have proven their innocence since 1977. This occurred, like I said, because they proved their innocence, and also when they do their when they get their sentence and they come back and actually do their appeal, California has the shortest appeal time. It's 3 years, especially sitting on death row. In conclusion, capital punishment, specifically the death penalty, remains from the past, a form of punishment that is both inhumane and ineffective. Death penalty is expression of absolute power of the state. Abolishing this penalty is much be needed. The death penalty is not a crime deterrent in many states, that we found out in the South region, where they conduct 80% of the murder rate that's happening. Citizens that doubt that death penalty is actually an effective form of punishment, life without parole is a sensible alternative to death. The wrongful execution of innocent person is injustice and cannot be ratified. I urge all citizens to support and complete abolishment of the death penalty. Thank you.